One last dirty trick a narcissist tries when they want to destroy an empathy. You left, you healed, and for a moment, you thought they were gone. You thought the storm had passed, that the silence meant peace. But watch closely, because there's one last tactic a narcissist uses when they're desperate to destroy someone with empathy. This video is not about fear. It's about clarity. It's about reclaiming your strength and understanding the final act in the narcissistic playbook. We'll dive into what that final dirty trick looks like, why it's so specifically crafted to wound empaths, and most importantly, how you can protect yourself and turn this moment into a breakthrough on your healing journey. Now let's get into it. When an empath finally breaks free, when they walk away from manipulation, silence the noise, and begin to heal, it creates a rupture in the narcissist world. This isn't just about losing a supply. It's about a narcissistic injury, a deep, ego-wounding event that signals loss of control, abandonment, and exposure. And for a narcissist, those feelings are unbearable. You see, for someone with narcissistic traits, your empathy was a mirror they used to reflect the version of themselves they wanted to see. When you remove that mirror, they're left staring at their own emptiness. And that's when the final strike happens. It's not out of love. It's not a plea for connection. It's damage control. They've tried hoovering. They've tried love bombing. They've tried guilt, smears, even silence. But nothing worked. Now, they reach for the one thing they've been saving for last. Your vulnerability. The things you once shared in trust. Your secrets, your insecurities, your pain. They'll twist it, turn it, use it as a final weapon to break your sense of self. Because if they can't own you, they want to break you. Have you ever experienced this kind of attack? Long after you thought it was over? A smear campaign you didn't expect? A friend suddenly turning cold because of something they heard? A message that cut too deep to be random? If you've been there, you know, it's surgical. It's deliberate. And it hurts because it was designed to. But here's the turning point. You're not powerless. You've already done the hardest part. You left. You've healed. And even now, you're still here, seeking truth, not revenge. That's your power. So let me ask you, have you ever seen this final tactic play out? How did you respond? And what helped you stand your ground? Share your thoughts in the comments. You never know who needs to read your story. Because what narcissists forget is this. Empaths don't just feel deeply. They rise deeply. And no final strike can undo the healing you've earned. So, what exactly is this final dirty trick? It's called character assassination, a narcissist's last-ditch effort to destroy your credibility, isolate your support, and stain your name just enough to keep others from seeing who you truly are. When all else fails, they don't come to you. They go to others, friends, family, mutuals, co-workers, anyone who might listen. They begin a smear campaign, carefully crafted with just enough truth to seem believable and just enough distortion to be toxic. They'll say you're unstable, that you were controlling, that you were the one who caused harm. They'll imply you were emotionally volatile, overly sensitive, or even dangerous. But why? Why go to these lengths? Because when they lose control of you, they try to control the narrative about you. This tactic isn't new, but it's dangerous. It works because it hits your identity, not just your image. And for empaths, this is where it cuts the deepest. Empaths often don't retaliate. They don't rush to defend themselves. Why? Because we don't want to hurt people. Even those who hurt us. We doubt ourselves. We hope others will see the truth eventually. But that delay, that silence, it gives the smear time to spread like wildfire. Let me ask you, have you ever been in that position where someone twisted your truth, rewrote your past, and handed your story to others like it belonged to them? How did you respond? Or maybe you're still struggling with whether you should respond at all. That brings us to the deeper impact of this tactic. Here's what many don't talk about. It's not just a betrayal that hurts. It's the doubt that follows. One day, people were close. Then suddenly they're distant, cold. They avoid eye contact. They stop calling. You feel it, but no one says it. And all the while, you're wondering, what did they hear? What lies were told? You begin to isolate. not by choice but by circumstance. You withdraw, trying to protect yourself from more harm. But in that silence, the damage grows louder in your own mind. This is exactly what the narcissist counted on. Because now, they don't need to control you directly. They planted seeds of suspicion and shame inside you. You might start questioning, was I really that hard to deal with? Did I overreact? Maybe I was the problem. This is how the emotional spiral begins. And for an empath, that internal chaos can feel unbearable. You don't want revenge. You want peace. You want resolution. But with a narcissist, there is none. Only noise. So, let's pause here and open up space. Have you experienced this emotional spiral? Did you start questioning yourself because others seem to believe the lies? If so, you're not alone, and you're not weak for feeling hurt. Your heart was wired to connect, not to defend itself against character warfare. But here's the truth. Empathy is not a flaw. It's your superpower. And in the next chapter, we'll talk about how you can turn this pain into power without losing your heart along the way. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Have you seen a smear campaign at work? How did you protect yourself? Or are you still figuring that out? Let's keep this conversation open, because your story can help someone else find their voice. Let's bring it down from theory into something you may have lived through, or are living through right now. Imagine this. Your ex, someone who once told you they loved you, someone who promised you forever, starts telling people you're unstable, that you were irresponsible with money, that you cheated, that you were too emotional to deal with, and maybe some of those people believe it. A mutual friend stops texting. Your co-workers start keeping their distance. Even a family member gives you that look, the one that says they've already judged you without asking for your side. And just like that, your character is on trial. But you were never invited to the courtroom. This isn't random. It's strategic. It's the narcissist pressing emotional buttons they know exactly how to hit. They've studied you. They know your insecurities. They know what matters most to you, and they weaponize it. For some, it's reputation. For others, it's family ties, or being trusted at work, or the sacredness of a relationship you poured your soul into. They don't just lie. They lie in a way that hurts most. Because for the narcissist, this isn't just about discrediting you. It's about fracturing the world around you until you question it yourself. So, let's pause for a moment. Have you experienced this? Have you had someone take your truth, twist it into a knife, and hand it to people who once loved you? Did they use pieces of your past, your own words, even to turn people against you? If so, drop a comment. Share your story. Not just for you, but for someone else who needs to know they're not alone in this battle. Now, let's talk about what this really means, because it's deeper than just drama or petty ex-behavior. Here's what you need to understand. This tactic, this smear campaign, this war on your character, is not their first choice. It's their last resort. Before they reached this point, before everything began to fall apart from their side, they had already run through their entire list of tricks. They didn't go straight to destruction. First, they tried every old tactic that used to work on you. They thought they could pull you back into the same cycle where they controlled the narrative and fed off your emotional energy. But this time, something was different. You weren't the same person anymore. They started with love bombing, laying it on thick, sweet words, sudden praise, big promises, talk of change. They acted like they finally saw your worth, like they were ready to give you the love they withheld for so long. But you didn't fall for it, because this time you remembered the pattern. You remembered how temporary the charm was. You saw right through performance. Then came the rage. Explosive anger meant to rattle you. They tried to scare you, to intimidate you, to make you question your choice to walk away. They raised their voice, stomped around, and maybe even tried to make you feel like the problem. But the fear didn't land. You didn't shake. You stood your ground. When that didn't work, they moved into silence. Cold, punishing silence. They stonewalled you, withheld affection, gave you nothing, hoping the emptiness would break you, hoping you'd come crawling back just to feel seen again. But you didn't. You learned to sit with the silence and make peace with it. You didn't reach out. You didn't beg. You kept going. Still, they weren't done. They tried using other people. Friends, family, mutual contacts. They dropped hints. They played the victim. They had others reach out, trying to guilt you, lure you, or question your choices. They hoped if they couldn't manipulate you directly, they could do it through someone else. But you saw that too, and you didn't take the bait. And why didn't it work? What was different this time? Because you healed. You pulled your energy back from the game. You stopped handing over your power. You chose peace over chaos. You chose yourself over their drama. You didn't just step away physically. You disconnected emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. You broke the cycle that once had you hooked. And that right there, that terrified them. Because once they feel your soul is truly out of their grasp, once they sense that their words no longer sway you, that their silence no longer hurts you, and that their rage no longer scares you, then they know the truth. They've lost control. So when all their usual methods fail, they reach for one final tool, one last desperate move. They go after your reputation. This is when the smear campaign begins. Not because they care about truth, not because they were genuinely hurt, but because they want control the way others see you. If they can't get you back, they want to punish you in another way by trying to turn people against you. If they can't ruin your spirit, they'll aim for your image. It's not even about revenge anymore. It's about destruction through control. If they can't touch your heart anymore, they'll try to poison the way others think about you. And if they can't ruin your relationships or credibility, they'll hope their lies cause you to doubt yourself, to feel ashamed, confused, and afraid. But here's the thing they don't realize. Only someone who's completely desperate does this. This kind of move, the character assassination, the fake stories, the twisted narratives, is a sign of strength. It's a clear sign that they lost. It's proof that you stood your ground and didn't return to the place that almost destroyed you. It's proof that you grew stronger, wiser, and more resilient than they ever thought you could. They tried love. They tried anger. They tried silence. They tried guilt, and none of it worked. So now, all they have left is a lie. That's what they cling to, a made-up version of you that they can hate, a story they can tell others to justify their behavior and make you look like the villain. But it's not the real you they're talking about. It's a version of you they had to invent just to feel okay with losing. Let that sink in. You were so powerful in your healing, so strong in your silence, and so unshaken in your growth that their only option left was to lie. If you've ever experienced this, if someone tried to destroy your name after realizing they could no longer reach your soul, know that you're not alone. And if you're still finding your way through the aftermath, still picking up the pieces after their campaign of destruction, remember this. You're not the story they told. You are the strength that walked away from it. So, tell me, have you lived through this kind of attack? Did someone try to twist the truth when they saw they couldn't twist your heart anymore? Share your story. How did you survive it? Or are you still finding your strength today? Because your voice, your truth, might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. So, what do you do when you've been targeted in a narcissist's last desperate act? When the lies fly, the smearing begins, and your name is no longer your own in certain circles. The answer is not to panic. It's not to react. It's to protect smartly, quietly, powerfully. First, document everything. Keep records of communication. Screenshots, texts, emails, anything that shows the truth. If they're smearing you publicly, don't just get angry. Get organized. Facts over fury. Second, avoid public defense. I know this one's hard. When someone lies about you, your first instinct might be to shout your truth from the rooftops. But here's the trap. Narcissists want a public fight. They thrive in chaos. They want you to defend yourself loudly, so they can twist your reaction into more evidence of your instability. So keep responses minimal, factual, calm, and when possible, handled through proper channels, not social media posts. Third, lean on your inner circle. This is where your people matter most. Not the crowd, not acquaintances, but the ones who really know you. Your therapist, your best friend, the cousin who's been in your corner since day one. Let them remind you who you are, because during a smear campaign, your own identity can feel under attack. Let safe people help you anchor. Fourth, Maintain no contact. I can't stress this enough. Do not re-engage, even if you want to defend yourself. Even if they bait you with lies, guilt, or rage. Your silence is more powerful than any response you could give. No contact doesn't just protect your peace. It denies them the attention they feed on. Let me ask you this. Have you been tempted to respond, to clear your name, to shout the truth at someone who twisted it? If you have, you're not alone. But silence is power, and it speaks louder than 1,000 counterattacks. Here's where things begin to shift, from survival to transformation. Yes, they struck with lies. Yes, it hurt, but you're still standing. Now it's time to rebuild, on your own terms. Rebuild with intention. Find spaces to heal. Journaling, nature, therapy, meditation, movement. Speak your truth to yourself, even if no one else hears it yet. Write affirmations. Defend your inner narrative, even if you don't feel strong yet. Next, realize your empathic strength. You've been told your compassion is a weakness, that you're too sensitive, that you need to toughen up. But listen, your empathy is not your flaw. It's your superpower. It's what helps you heal, not just yourself, but others who've been to the same pain. Your resilience isn't loud. It's quiet. It's steady. It's deep. So here's your empowerment mantra. They struck with falsehood, but I stand in truth. Repeat that as often as needed, because truth outlasts noise. Integrity outlives rumor. Peace outshines chaos. Let's land this. That final dirty trick, the smear campaign, the lies, the betrayals, the distortions, it's not evidence that you were wrong. It's proof that they are afraid. Afraid of your healing. Afraid of your freedom. Afraid of what happens when someone they once controlled rises beyond their reach. So keep rising. You don't just survive this. You thrive through it. Their smear is temporary. But your peace, your truth, your future, that's permanent. Have you experienced this final attack? Did someone try to destroy your name when they couldn't break your spirit? If so, share your story. Your voice matters. And someone else reading it might feel less alone because you were brave enough to speak. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. Join this growing community of clarity, strength, and loving self-defense. Because your truth deserves to be heard and honored